Well, here it is. Of course, it's the good old a vegan diet cures heart disease, to which they'll say, oh, a vegan diet is the only diet ever shown to cause the regression of heart disease. There are two studies that we can look at here that would purport to inform on this question. The first is the Ornish study of 1990, and all we need to do to dispel the Ornish study is have a look at the abstract of it. Here we go. In a prospective randomized controlled trial to determine whether comprehensive lifestyle changes affect coronary atherosclerosis after 1 year, 28 patients were assigned to an experimental group. Okay, so number one, we have 1 year of follow-up, which is not enough remotely. Number two, we have 28 participants in the study, which is not enough remotely for statistical power or to establish anything. Number three, the intervention was a low-fat vegetarian diet, not a vegan diet. Whoops. End of discussion. Also included in that intervention was stopping smoking, so there's a confounder. Less stress management training, confounder, and moderate exercise, confounder. Sorry, Ornish study doesn't prove a damn thing. Finished, done. There are some measures of stenosis given there. You can also look at the signal-to-noise ratio around those as given by the standard deviations, and you'll find that these results are completely meaningless in terms of signal-to-noise ratio, even if everything else was appropriate about the study design, which, as I've just covered, it isn't. So the Ornish style, nope, absolutely does not establish that a vegan lifestyle can reverse heart disease. Okay, let's go on to the other one, which is the Esselstyn study. You've probably all seen this one a million times flashed in front of you by vegans. And I thought we'd have a bit of a look at this one because this one is, well, it's wildly amusing. Let's have a look. Okay, here it is, the famed, I guess, Esselstyn study, where they show us absolutely that a vegan diet can reverse heart disease, they say. Let's have a look. Okay, so we followed 198 consecutive patients, counseled in a plant-based nutrition. Okay, so that's not vegan. Okay, fine, plant-based, right, whatever. These patients with established cardiovascular disease were interested in transitioning to a plant-based nutrition as an adjunct to usual cardiovascular care. Whoops, confounder. Because these people were still being given the traditional advice pharmacologically and etc. Oh dear, whoops. We considered participants adherent if they eliminated dairy, fish, and meat and added oil. Not eggs then. Eggs are not vegan, are they? Unless, of course, your name happens to be Venus, when apparently that's okay. All right, so not a vegan diet. So that's the end of that discussion in terms of a vegan diet has been shown to, no, maybe plant-based, one with eggs. Okay, fine. Of the 198 patients with cardiovascular disease, 177 were adherent. Okay. And then they've looked at recurrent cardiovascular disease events during the follow-up period, which was not very long, by the way. And also they've looked at symptomology. Okay, well, what have we got? You will have also seen this famous photo here many times. Oh, look, here's from the study, here's what they found. Number one, this is a photograph of one individual. So this is n equals 1. Okay. Number two, this figure is not from this study. This figure comes from a previous study undertaken by Esselstyn, where the dietary intervention included dairy and eggs. Also, in that earlier study, patients were on statin medication as well. Whoops. Dear oh dear. So that's a complete misdirect to throw this picture into this study, because this picture isn't even from this study. Okay, good. Methods. This report reviews the outcomes of 198 consecutive non-smoking patients with multiple comorbidities of hyperlipidemia, hypertension and diabetes who voluntarily asked for counselling on plant-based nutrition, blah, 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 blah. Good. Foods prohibited. Initially, the intervention avoided all added oils and processed foods that contain oils, fish, meat, fowl, dairy products, avocado, nuts, and excess salt. So again, we have eggs allowable here. All right, so not a vegan diet. Patients were also asked to avoid sugary foods, sucrose, fructose, and drinks containing them, refined carbohydrates, fruit juices, syrups, and molasses. So how do we know that the reduction of those things from the diet wasn't the cause of any regression of the heart disease that might have been noted, rather than the removal of meat, as the vegans would have us suggest is what caused it? We don't. Whoops. This study is now completely unable to inform on the outcomes on the basis of it being a vegan diet, or indeed even a diet that doesn't contain significant amounts of meat, because of the fact that they've told these people to avoid oils, which will cause inflammation and make heart disease progression more likely, and sugar, which will achieve the same thing. Oh dear, Esselstyn study. Not very good, is it? And by the way, have they looked at cardiovascular disease regression in the study? No, they haven't. Not a single measure of anything like that. They've just looked at events, hard events. In other words, have they had a second heart attack or a second cardiovascular event? And symptomology. No actual measurements of anything. Except what we will do, though, is to misdirect you from the fact that we haven't measured anything to do with cardiovascular disease, is we'll show this picture of n=1 from a completely different study. Good. Okay, I think we're done with the Esselstyn study, aren't we?